All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise to Yahweh Shem Al Shabbat Thumb. I just wanted to go over this quick video real quick. I ain't not even go through the video, man, but just one thing that stood out. I got a couple clips that I clipped from this thing. I may not even go into them. These are good brothers, man. They came up with a new doctrine. Well, I ain't gonna say they came up with a new doctrine, but this is something they are promoting now. This doctrine, the gospel of the 12 tribes. This doctrine is going out. This is the new thing throughout Israel. And the push of veganism and being vegetarians or going to the Daniel's diet is being pushed. And there's nothing wrong with going to the Daniel's diet. There's nothing wrong with veganism. I do think, flesh is detrimental to us. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to work my way off of that thing. But at the same time, we can't be going around saying that it's sin and saying that this is not a narrative that's within the text when the text clearly states and have certain laws and ordinances set up. So I don't want to make this a health thing, and I'm going to skip through some of the parts of the testimonies and stuff of them healing certain people because I know most of us, if you just do any basic research, you know that if you have diabetes, you're going to be taken off of certain meat, certain salty foods, etc. So you can get yourself back in order and get those insulins and all that. But I don't want to make this no health thing because I'm not no health expert, no health guru, and I'm in bad health as you know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to get myself together. But spiritually though, we have to discern. We have to do some discerning, and we have to listen. We have to humble ourselves down. And this is what I really wanted to bring out, that we have to humble ourselves down and to this. We only KJV when a lot of us are tripping and fumbling over these words. And when you trip and fumble over these things, man, and the KJV will it'll be missing a few important words that could give you more clarity. You know what I'm saying? Like, from that 1611 to the KJV we have now, there's been several translations to get it to where it is now. It hasn't been altered, I think, since like the late 1700s, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But it hasn't been, translated again or transliterated again, in a while. So it's still a lot of old English in there that's tripping us up. And this is what's going to happen here. This is ultimately what happens with this particular precept is the KJV trips him up. His KJV reading trips him up. His zeal for wanting to see something there. And it's going to make him say something that's kind of crazy. And when you hear something that's kind of crazy, do comparative text study. Look at other translations. Look at the original text. Look at the Greek Septuagint. Let's play the video.
25. Let me get it real quick.
It's on the screen.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, here we go. And I polluted them in their own gifts, and that they caused to pass through the fire.
Go through 25. I give you 25 on the screen.
Oh, my bad. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, here we go. Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live.
Hold on right there, brother. Hold on right there. Y'all, this is the Most High speaking through Ezekiel. And he's saying, I gave them, talking about Israel, to the priests first and then to the people, because the priests instruct the people, right?
That's right.
I gave them also statutes that were not good.
That's right.
And judgments whereby they should not live. Y'all, what laws are those? What laws are those?
Exactly.
What about this? This is a witness. This is a witness to what we read Deuteronomy 31. Put this beside the ark as a witness against you. For I know your rebellion. The Most High saying, look, there are statutes and judgments. There are laws in your Torah that everybody claims they following that are not good. And
Hey Malin, let me read verse 24 for you.
Go ahead, go ahead.
It says
He finna cut himself with this
because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes, and had polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols. Verse 25 one more time. Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live.
Y'all see that? So the question is, y'all, what laws are these? We've been mingling the path of life and the path of death in this Israelite thing, claiming we keeping 613 laws. Y'all, and the path of life and death even has to do tree of life yielding off what we know, excuse me, based off what we know is a ministry, y'all. Their pancreas and veggies.
He just going through his testimonies, and I say
about this, y'all. Kidney failure, dialysis.
we know that. Well, I know
the flesh pot.
and believe that that it's a better lifestyle. It's a healthier lifestyle.
The flesh pots, not sugar. The flesh pots is what's caused diabetes. The flesh pots is what.
You said the flesh pot's not the sugar.
Now,
I don't know. That to research that.
Out, people be like, well, and judgments whereby they should not live. Watch this, verse 26. What it say, yo?
Verse 26, it says, and I polluted them in their own gifts, and that they, let me start over. And I polluted them in their own gifts, and that they caused to pass through the fire, or that openeth the womb, that I might, I can't even see that I might make them desolate. I might make them desolate to the end that they might know that I am the Lord.
See that? So the Most High is saying, so he's not, this is Ezekiel showing that the Most High is not, he's not pleased with the sacrifices that were going on in Israel.
Right.
He's not pleased with your animal sacrifices and your burnt offerings and your sin offerings.
Mm-hmm.
He's not pleased with it. And I don't even, for the life of me, understand why everybody mad at us, because y'all not even sacrificing anymore. Y'all not even bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices anymore. Y'all, this is in your Bible. If the Most High
The law worked against them, against their rebellion.
With their own gifts.
Their gifts or their sacrifices.
The gifts are their
The Most High is
sacrifices.
saying, I polluted them with that, and I gave them statues that were not good. But then we got laws in Leviticus that say you're supposed to do this. Trip off this. Is it harmonizing or is it in conflict?
Mm-hmm.
It conflicts. If the Most High is saying, look, I gave you statues that were not good, and judgment whereby you shouldn't live, and them offerings you brought me, but you're defiled because you brought me them. You see that? All right, so let's let's get into what we just witnessed there. And again, it said it conflicts. The Bible conflicts. And so I want to see if we can see this here. But this is a parallel Bible. All right. And so you have a King James version on this side, and you have the NLT, my favorite, most trusted version. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their preference. It's a word for word. So KJV is a word for word. NLT is a thought for thought translation. But let's look at Ezekiel 20 and verse 25. This was the verse that my brother went to. It says, wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. All right. And so he's saying that these statutes that were given unto him were the commandments that Moses wrote, were the Levitical laws that were polluting them, were the sacrifices that polluted them. Now, if you paid attention, and you may have to go back to the video, when he went to verse 26, and I polluted them in their own gifts, in that they caused to pass through the fire all that opened of. He didn't deal with that. In that they caused to pass through the fire all that opened the wound, that I might make them desolate. All right, that I might kill them. All right, to the end that they might know that I am the Lord. Okay. Now let's jump up a couple verses. It says, that's verse 21. It says, notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments
kept my judgments to do them. So now he's going down to 25 saying, well, what statutes is this that he gave them? Well, it's got to be a different statute than this statute, because then the verse 21 statute, because these statutes we weren't walking in. He evidently gave us some statutes in verse 21. He says, notwithstanding my children rebelled against me, they walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. Nevertheless, I withdrew my hand and wrought for my name's sake, that it should not be polluted in the sight of the heathen, in whose sight I brought them forth. All right, again, keeping that name. If you've been following some of the lessons, especially within Prince of Power, understanding that redemption must happen in the eyes of the heathen, so that the Most High's name can be glorified throughout the earth. I lifted up my hand upon them also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen and disperse them through the countries, because they had not executed my judgments, but they despised my statutes. Now, what statutes are here? Are they talking about that they despise? All right. These are the statutes. These are the ones that were given in the wilderness. Okay. These weren't just the 10 commandments. All right. Because they had not executed my judgment, but despised my Sabbaths and had polluted my Sabbaths, Shalakia, and despised my statutes and polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their father's idols. Their eyes were after their father's idols, meaning they were worshiping other deities. Wherefore, verse 25, wherefore I gave them also, okay? I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. Okay, so then we have to understand that there were law, statutes, and commandments that were given that we rebelled against. All right, and then since we rebelled against, see, that wherefore could have been therefore. Therefore, I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. And I polluted them in their own gifts, in that they caused to pass through the fire all that openeth the womb. What opens the womb? Children. When do children pass through the fire? When they're worshiping Moloch. All right, when they're worshiping these idols of their fathers. All right, so the Most High have given them over, just like he said, I gave them over to a reprobate mind. I've gave them over to those statues of their fathers. All right, to some laws that are not going to grant them life. All right, for some laws that'll pollute their gifts and pass their children to have their children pass through the fire. Now let's look at comparative text. All right, so we have the NLT on this column here. All right, let's look at verse 23. But I took a solemn oath against them in the wilderness. I swore I would scatter them among the nations, because they did not obey my regulations. They scorned my decrees by violating my Sabbath days and longing for the idols of their ancestors. I gave them over to worthless decrees and regulations that would not lead to life. I let them pollute themselves with the very gifts I had given them, and I allowed them to give their firstborn as offerings to their gods. Okay, and what gifts did he give them? Children. And I allowed those children to be passed through the fire and to defile them and to pollute them as offerings to these other idols, so I might devastate them and remind them that I alone am the Most High, man. And this could have been all. And this, listen, once you pull that away from them, everything else could have been. Everything else gonna have to start falling apart. All right, because that was one of their main precepts. But this is a People's Parallel Bible. They got the New Living Translation and the King James Version. Listen, man, we got to humble ourselves down and really try. If we're really trying to get understanding, then, you know what I'm saying, we need to be doing comparative text. All right, that's part of scholastic. That's part of scholastic scholarship. You know what I'm saying? Scholastic circles are going to ask you, have you done comparative text? You know what I'm saying? Just like we compare Matthew, Luke, and John, you know what I'm saying, all of their different stories, you know what I'm saying, several witnesses to some of the same you know, manuscripts are just being translated by different minds. But not only that, some newer translations have older manuscripts that have been found. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things was translated before, like the KJV was translated before the Dead Sea Scrolls was found. So